As-salaam wa-alaikum, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Year 6 of the 17 Verses podcast. I'm your host, Maher Haq. In this podcast, we take a small selection from the Quran every day and recite it to you in plain English, so you can get a small slice of God's Word while you go about your day. By averaging 17 verses per day, we're able to break the Quran down into manageable pieces and finish it in 1 year. If you enjoy the podcast, please help spread the word. Tell your friends and family, subscribe in iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you get your podcasts, and write us a review. Show notes and a text episode can be found at 17verses.com. That's the numbers 17verses.com. Today's selection is from Surah 37, As-Sãffãt, or Those Ranged in Ranks, verses 75 through 98. These verses tell the story of how Prophet Noah prayed to God and saw his prayers answered. Next, we begin a story about Prophet Abraham, the friend of Allah. Tafseer for this selection concerns the response of the unbelievers to Prophet Abraham's argument in favor of God. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Noah prayed to us. See how excellent was our response to his prayer. We delivered him and his people from the mighty distress, and made his progeny to be the only survivors. And we left his good name among the later generations. Salutations to Noah among the people of the worlds. Thus do we reward the righteous. Surely he was one of our believing devotees. Then the rest we drowned in the great flood. Surely Abraham belonged to the first group who followed Noah's way, when he came to his Lord with a pure heart. Behold, he said to his father, and to his people, what are these that you worship? Would you serve false gods instead of Allah? What is your idea about the Lord of the worlds? Then he looked at the stars one time and said, I am feeling sick. So his people left him behind and went away to their national fair. He sneaked into the temple of their gods and addressed them. Why don't you eat from these offerings before you? What is the matter with you that you don't even speak? Then he fell upon them, the idols that is, smiting them with his right hand. The people came running to the scene. Would you worship that which you have carved with your own hands, Abraham said, when Allah is the one who created you and that which you have made? The people said to one another, Prepare for him a furnace and throw him into the blazing flames. This failing, they then sought a stratagem against him, but we made them the ones most humiliated. Ameen. Now, concerning the response of the unbelievers to Prophet Abraham's ministry, quote, the argument of Abraham was so sound that it could not be met with argument. In such cases, evil resorts to violence or secret plotting. Here there was both violence and secret plotting. The violence consisted in throwing him into a blazing furnace, but by the mercy of Allah, the fire did not harm him. Also, you can reference Surah 21, verse 69. And so they resorted to plotting, but the plotting was a boomerang that recoiled on their own heads. Unquote. In tomorrow's episode, we'll learn about this plotting. Thank you. This concludes today's episode of the 17 Verses podcast. I hope that this selection helps increase your understanding of the Holy Quran just a little bit. If you like the podcast, you can subscribe in iTunes or Stitcher and write us a review. Or you can grab the RSS feed and put it into your own podcast app. The show notes, including a text version of this episode, can be found by going to 17verses.com. That's the numbers 17verses.com. Thank you, and be well.